Let's step back in time to a forgotten strawberry farm from days of old. I'm Ingrid Carlson, and I am so happy that you're here with me today. I'll be showing you how to make this Dollar Tree time card altered flip book that is an awesome insert into any junk journal. If you're not already subbed, this is a great time for you to do so. And if you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and help my algorithm to share it with others on YouTube. I'm going to start by pulling all of the supplies that I have. I'm going to grab these Dollar Tree time cards, and if you've missed that Dollar Tree Shop With Me and haul, I will have it linked down below. It'll be a playlist for all of the Dollar Tree hauls if you're interested in that. I also love the Dollar Tree envelopes. I love using the inside. This pattern is just so pretty. So I'm going to pull that. I will also be pulling these sheets that I have embossed using the Dollar Tree paper. These that I've stamped. And then I'm going to grab some of the Tim Holtz photos. We'll see if those get used. I also have this boy that was just sitting on my desk, so that might make it as well. We'll leave that to the side. And then I have my semi-done kit. Some of these were prototypes and they won't make it into the kit. Maybe they'll make it just over to Patreon. So I'm going to pull elements out of this and let's get started. So the base of my project is going to be these time cards, and I'm going back and forth. I think I've used the green, so I think I'm going to go and use the red today. And these both have green. Actually, this is perfect because they have green on the back side. So I'm going to grab one of each. And we're going to do a simple tab binding on them. I'm going to grab some masking tape, and I believe that one is from Dollar Tree. So we are going to bind it first. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is decide if I want to cut it down, which I do want to cut one of them down so that I have a variation in color. I do want both of these like this, the red. So I think, let's see. I think I'm going to leave this one as the larger one, and this one's going to be the smaller one. So I'm trying to decide if this section looks better with this. I feel like it might be, well, they both have the line. Actually, they're both the same, right? Yeah, they're pretty much both the same, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to pick, I think I'll keep this one since it says signature, and I'm going to flip it this way. And I'm going to just cut to the end. Straighten that out just a little. Keep that to the side. And on this one, I'm going to cut this one down as well. So since we have signature on this one, oh, but I really like this. So I think I'm going to cut down the top part just a little. So maybe right here. And definitely don't throw these away because you can use them later on in your project. So now we have kind of our base. To build our little flip or journal, I'm going to line my 2 pieces together, and I want about, I think that's about 1/8 of an inch of space in between. It's not that serious, it can be whatever. Now I'm going to take some tape. I don't want the tape to be longer than this piece here. So what I'm going to do is actually, so I'm going to show you what I personally like to do, because tape can be sticky. So I'm going to stick that down a little bit to my desk, and we know this is the front. So I'm just going to lay this down first, somewhere towards the middle. So you can see that. And now this is going to go this way. And I want, like I said, a little bit of an edge. But first, before we do that, I'm going to cut this piece of tape down so that it doesn't extend past the top of that. And I'm going to leave my little bit of space. I'm trying to line these up, not 100% lined up. Looks pretty good. And you can, at this point, add a little bit of extra glue if you want. I do have a glue stick, so maybe we'll, oops, it's sticking pretty good. So I'm gonna add that. I'm just gonna add some right there. And this one might already be stuck on, but you can do that ahead of time if you want it to get a really good adhesion. We're probably going to cover that, so I'm not that worried about it. And now I'll go ahead and cut the excess off the bottom. And at that point, if your papers were not lined up completely at the bottom, when you snip it, you can kind of snip it and make it look like it was perfectly even if it wasn't. Now I'm going to take another piece of tape and lay it on top. And again, I could have added my glue stick, but I don't feel like it's necessary. Now, what I do suggest, and this is anytime you're using any kind of adhesive, is that you burnish it down. And all that means is that you are, I'm using what's called, if you don't know, this is a bone folder. And even though I don't know if this is a true bone folder, just stuttered. A bone folder was made out of bone, I believe, the original, and it's for creasing letters and such, and for paper crafting things. And so this helps with creasing, but I'm gonna take it, and you can use anything that's flat, like an old credit card or gift card, and I'm just going to press down on that tape so that it makes a good seal with the paper. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And I think that if you've had problems in the past with your tape not sticking well, it's probably due to that. And now we have our first little fold. Now I can see here this is not even, so I'm going to try to even it a little more. I'm the worst cutter. Are you a good cutter? I'm a terrible cutter. I can decorate, I can't cut. Okay, and you know, I should have just used these lines. I don't know why I didn't, to line up my edges. Okay, I'm also going to take some of it's these pre-cut parchment papers from Dollar Tree, and I think I want it here. Let's see, do I want the cover. Let's actually do the cover. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off by cutting some pieces out that are a little bit bigger than the page itself. Okay, so that is my rough estimate. So you can see it's going to extend on the top, the bottom, and the sides. How much is completely up to you. And I'm going to take this piece as my guide, and I'm going to cut some other pieces. I'm going to do 3 total. And they do not need to be straight. They don't need to be even. They just need to be around the same size. And we might cut them down once we start building them. So I'm going to start with those 3. And just like we use this in our other video, I think it's the last Dollar Tree haul video that I did 2 videos ago maybe. I'm going to just take my fingers and I'm just pushing down on the paper to just make it look distressed. And I'm just pinching it all the way around. Some areas more than others, it's okay. This is the fun part. Don't fret about it, just do. While I'm doing these, since I don't have to think very much when I'm doing these, I just wanted to encourage you today that if you came here to watch me, it was probably for a reason. I don't believe anything happens by chance. And I just want to tell you that I want to encourage you today to know that you are an artist. What you make is beautiful. Anything that you make with your hands, it's so special. It's going to be treasured by you and those around you. And even if you think you're not talented enough or your stuff isn't good enough, I'm here to tell you it is. It's kind of like the house thing, you know, when your house is not clean and you're like, no, I don't want to have people over. But meanwhile, you would not care if you went to your friend's house and their house was a mess. You just want to spend time with them. It's kind of the same thing. If you got something from someone else that they had created with their hands, you would love it because it's beautiful. And that's your work too. And I just want to encourage you with that today. I know sometimes it can be hard. We live in a world of, you know, pushing perfection and looking at things in a way that sometimes is unattainable. And I want to tell you that that's not what this is. This is, we are creating something beautiful with our hands because our Creator has created us to create. And we're just making beautiful things. So, okay, I'm going to take one of these, and I think this is they kind of lined up. I don't know if I did it on purpose, I don't know, but they're going to kind of layer like this. I'm going to take the top one though, and I'm going to cut a slit into it. And I'm going to cut just the tiniest sliver at an angle. So this is the angle we started with. I'm going to go a little bit over and just cut the tiniest slit out. And I'm going to make sure to distress that. Whenever I am doing any kind of distressing with paper, I personally don't like to have a lot of sharp edges. Like right here, that's okay. I know that's a little bit sharp. Usually not what I would like. I would probably round it out just a little bit. I feel like that looks just a little more weathered and torn and more natural. Like if you were to find papers, you probably wouldn't find a lot of sharp angles because as they're getting handled, they're losing that sharpness. So I'm going to take those 3 papers and I'm going to just arrange them so that they make sense. I think that the first way I had them was good. And I just want there to be layers so they don't need to be stacked on top of each other. They can kind of go a little askew. So I'm going to grab my stapler, and I'm just going to add a staple in the middle for now until we figure out what we're going to work on. If you've been with me for a while, one of the things is I don't always start it really depends on the mood I'm in, but I don't always start my projects with doing the cover first. Sometimes I like to do the inside and work on the cover afterwards, because the cover is a representation of what's on the inside. So today that's what we're going to do. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to start building this. And I think that this paper line is actually really perfect for some of these photos, because the ones that I pulled here, they're all like kind of outside. I was thinking this one, I really like this one with the cabin, because it really reminded me of like strawberry fields. I don't know if that's a region where strawberries even grow, but there's just something about it that reminded me of that. It's just kind of out in nature, and so I thought that it just kind of went, and I think that that's the one that I like the most. So I'm going to keep that one to the side, and we'll see, because I do have some photos from my kit that I can use as well. Like I really like this boy here, and so, and maybe we'll use both. Maybe that will be the cabin, and those are like the people inside. I don't know. I'm looking for some papers. So some of the papers that I'm using here are from my kit, but some of them are, like I said earlier, the kind of prototypes or the first prints. So they might be off on color a little bit, or I might have needed to tweak them a little bit. So if you see something that, sorry, that's Barkley in the back. He wants to say hi. We only keep him around because he's so adorable. We joke and say that he's got pretty privilege, that when he gets cut, he looks crazy. And so, like, if you cut down his face, he loses all his privileges, and then he's like, then that's when we're like, why did you steal that? I was just thinking, I wanted the red, didn't I? Oh no, I wanted the red, not the green. Oh well, that's how it goes. I don't think I can, unless I have it opening this way. I think we're gonna have to just go with the green. It's okay. We'll still have the red. So I'm going to cut a piece out. That's a little bit smaller than my time card. I get a lot of questions about this when I'm covering pieces up. It's like, how do you do it? I'm not worried about the covering up, because I love like pieces that stick out from underneath. So I'm good with that. It adds to the kind of the design of it. So I just want to encourage you right now that if you, and that's honestly what led me to printables, was that the fact that I didn't have to be so precious about things, and I could reprint them. So if I accidentally use this doily and then cover the majority up, but I can only see a little corner of it, I can print another one and use it in another fashion. And then here, all I'm doing is kind of seeing what I want, a little bit of the edges, like you can see here and here and here poking out. I also want to distress this paper a little. Because it's already kind of has this grunge effect to it, I'm going to take out this little like notch. Okay. And then I'm going to just run my scissors. Depending on how hard you rub, it's going to give you more or less distress. And also, like I showed you guys in one of the other journals, you can also go at an angle and take some of the top paper off, which lends itself, this paper lends itself really well to that. And today I am not going to sit around and think about things too much. I'm going to just glue. Whenever I'm layering, I like to look for different types of elements. So in this case, I have a pattern paper, I have book page with letters, I have a distressed or an embossed and distressed item, and then I have this one which is geometric, and it kind of coordinates with the pattern. And so now I'm just going to glue these down. I'm going to stick my finger in the middle, and I'm going to start. I did not put it back in my little glue holder. For those of you asking, a friend of mine, Lori, who is Measure Once, Cut Twice on YouTube, Instagram, and her husband has a 3D printer and he made me that. Isn't it the sweetest? You guys will also see he made my my water brush cleaner holder for my watercolors that I use. I love that thing. I'm also making sure that I'm sticking with my glue in the center. That way my paper still can have some movement, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. In the same way that we spoke about with our glue before is what you're going to do here. You want to, burnish it down some. Now in that case, it kind of seeped through. I'm gonna just distress that a little bit because I did want it to be kind of loose. The photo does not need to be. but I like this right here where it's got a little bit of looseness to it. I think that that's really pretty. Also, you're going to see that we glued on top of our tape. So that's why I was saying that the tape, you don't have to add the glue if you don't want to, because we're still putting stuff on top of it. We're building on top of it, so it should hold it in place. I decided that I'm going to add this postcard here, and I'm going to add it with this orientation so that it's peeking through the front like this, and you can see here it says postcard Great Britain. So I have a couple of options. I can either do the tape all the way across, or I can match up this tape. I think that I'm going to go all the way. Actually, I'm going to just match up that tape, or as close to that as possible. And in this case, I know I'm not going to add anything. I'm going to add something to the back, but not to the front. So if you wanted to make sure to add some glue or some kind of adhesive to your tape, then you might want to do so. And I think I'm going to cover this first before I add the tape. I just used some of this distress tape that I made, and if you're looking for a video on how to make it, it will be listed down below. When I'm putting this together, I have the option of going a little bit over, which I think that's what I'm going to do, and that gives me a little bit of space here to work with as well. So again, I'm going to hold my papers down kind of tightly with my hand as I glue, and I want to make sure I do every layer. And then I'll flip it over and do the other side. I just realized that I forgot to put the tape on the other side of this. So I am going to add a piece of some kind of, maybe like this on the edge, but at the end. Because I extended these pieces, I'm actually not going to, I think I'm going to cut these down maybe a little bit. So that's why I had the staple in here, because now I think the easiest way is I'm just going to do this and then cut all of the pages down, probably about half an inch or so. Oops. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect because we're distressing them. And I'm going to go back and do the same thing. And you can have it as distressed or less distressed if you want. If you don't like that to be that kind of grungy looking. I'm also going to distress, and this parchment paper seems to take the distressing pretty well. And I'm just using some vintage tape. I'm just going to go around the edges to kind of give it a worn look. Now, I don't know, because it's a parchment paper and it's kind of has like a waxy substance on it, this could over time rub off. And I think because I have this here and it's going to overlap, I am going to go ahead and add the spine now. I think that the red goes really well. It's kind of a contrast. You see mostly light colors right here. Let's see, I have this piece of corduroy, which also looks very nice. Maybe that goes a little bit better. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to cut it down to about 1 inch. And I'm going to just take my fingernails and distress. I'm going to pull at the fibers and distress the edges just a little. I feel like every project that I work on, I make a mess, such a big mess with my desk and stuff. But I think that's it's part of the fun, right? Of having fun with stuff. So I'm actually not going to go all of the way up because I want this to fold out, so I can only go up to here. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to add my glue here, same way as we did the tape pretty much. And now I have a question for you. What is your preferred glue? I know we talk about this so much, and for a long time I really was on the search for like the perfect glue, then I realized that it was more about, as far as the adhesion and lasting, it's more about the process and how you burnish it and that. But there's definitely glues that I like to work with over others. And so I'm wondering, what is your favorite glue? What do you like to work with? Do you like working with wet glues because it gives you a little bit more time, or not wet glues because they're messy, which they are? And I have this little bin of scraps, and that is going to go in my bin of scraps because all of that yumminess right there, that's not going to get wasted. This page is going to be a pocket, so I'm going to go ahead and staple this down just because I'm not sure how well this glue, and actually I might grab my art glitter glue. This glue's doing a great job gluing this, so. I'm not going to do anything with these edges that are loose because as we build it, then I might want them to come over on the images, or I might want them to go flat. So I'm going to leave that open until we're ready to go. Because I use that color, I think this would be very pretty on the edge, and this is just a paint chip that is embossed, and I'm not going to use the whole thing because I don't need it. And that way I have it for 2 projects now. And I am 1000% going to use that deckled edge. I think that's so good. Okay, so that will go there. Maybe I will do a little bit of this. On this one, I am going to cut it though. Oh, and this was supposed to be our house. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit it now that I've cut it. So I'm going to cut it down. It might not work, and that's okay. I'll save it to use at a different time, but I might be able to cut the excess off and then fit it in there. So we'll see. Oh, I think we might be able to. Oh, I love this. I think, if I'm seeing this correctly, this looks like a pump, like gas pump. So I'm gonna sacrifice some of the edge of the house here for that pump. We still need a little more. I'm gonna push these over to the edge so that I get maximum coverage. I kind of don't like it. So I'm gonna keep this because I can still use these pieces, and I'm definitely gonna keep, where is it? The bottom that has the, and maybe I'll use that. Maybe I'll use that there. So I'm gonna just put this over to the side. And I think I'm going to pull out one of my photos from the kit. And the kit is not available yet. I'm still tweaking it a little bit, so hopefully it will be soon. I know there's a gentleman that I have in one of the photos that I think will look, and I think I've used him already. Oh, actually, let's use him. He's sitting on a fence. We're gonna distress this photo a little bit. And I think this just works out better with the edges too, for it to be the same landscape. I think that looks so pretty already. And I'm going to use this. It says Clark and Crombie's Camps, and I'm going to add it here. We're going to pretend that this is all the same. And I feel like I might need a little something here. Oh, and maybe that's where this piece can come in. I like it. Okay, we're going to glue down and staple. So I know these are going to be able to get stapled together. So I'm going to pull those up. And add 2 staples there. Oh, and I said I was going to distress the photo. I'm going to put that there, and then, yeah, I think that's good. I could have had this coming out a little more. I didn't realize it until now, but I think that it looks pretty like this. We're going to make this into a pocket, and so I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and sew around it and then glue it in here. But I just want to look at this and see if there's any other elements I want to add. I think I'm pretty happy with it. let's see, I'm going to try just adding just a little bit of distress to the edge of my paper and maybe distressing it a little bit. I'm also going to fold it and do that so it looks like it's more weathered. Okay, I think I like that better. It's not so white. And we're gonna head over to the sewing machine and then finish up that pocket, and we are just about done. Okay, I'm gonna take my fabric and make sure that it's placed where I want it, and I think I liked the idea of this peeking through. Worst case, when I get it to the book, if it can't fit there because of where it's situated, I'll just cut that piece off. But I'm going to go ahead and make or stitch around the complete perimeter. My thread just broke. Okay, I finally got the machine threaded. That took me longer than like the whole project. I've already gone over it several times and it wasn't sticking, and it was your user error, of course, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish sewing, and I'm gonna have extra holes, and that is what it is, and it's okay. I overshot that, and that's okay. Okay, we at least got it sewn, and that's good enough. I've got my piece, and it is what it is. It's not perfect, and it's okay. So I'm going to, I think I can extend it a little so that I have that green, because I think that adds some like real cuteness to it. So I'm going to make sure to line up. I don't want to go further than what it bends because I don't want it to not close on me. And so I'm just going to hold it in place. And I'm going to add glue to the edge. And then here at the bottom. And now, once I've got those two in place, I'm gonna look over here and see if I should snip any of it off. I actually think it's okay. Maybe I'll add a little distress to the edge. I think that's all right. Pull these just a little. I should have done this before I glued it down. There we go. So I'll add a little extra glue so it stays put. And you know, I was feeling like this is missing something, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some kind of, I know what, I'm going to add some twine to the top of it. This is kind of like twine. I think I have some more of a different, like a darker color, but we're going to go with this because I have it on hand, and after trying to glue so much, sew it so much, and it wasn't working, my brain is done. Do you have those moments where you just, something goes wrong and then it just throws everything off? So that's what we're dealing with. So we're just gonna go with it, and it's okay. Like, that's what happens sometimes. I'm not going to measure, so if this bothers you, measure. And I'm going to thread it through the top. And I'm going to tie it up. I think that this looks so pretty. And I love that it's like kind of unraveled right here, that little piece. And that is it. We are completely done. That was definitely a project that you can do in an afternoon. And if you don't have the Dollar Tree time cards, you can do it with just cardstock or pattern paper, or really whatever you have on hand. So I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for your comments and your love. They mean so much to me. I apologize about not getting back to the comments. I do a little bit every day, and I'm very far behind, and so I'm very, very sorry, but I will get to them. And I do love you guys, and I thank you so, so much. It really helps my channel out. And as usual, if you found this project helpful, inspiring, adorable, all of the things, then I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. And then if you're not already subscribed, you need to subscribe. You won't regret it, I promise. We have lots of fun projects coming up, and I just look forward to working with you on them. There we go. So a big, big thank you to my patrons. I love you guys more than I could ever express into words. And also I wanted to tell you today, you know what time it is. If you haven't been told today, you are treasured. You are worthy. You are whole. You are loved beyond understanding. I thank you for being here. Until next time, love you. Bye.